Brought to you by...
There exists a psychological terrain where love and loss collide with the looming specter of annihilation. Within this interior landscape, personal trauma amplifies existential dread, and the collapse of intimate bonds mirrors the threat of a world on the brink. Memory, fear, and obsession intertwine, creating a suffocating, almost physical pressure, as though the weight of unforeseen forces could constrict the very breath. In such a space, the boundaries between inner turmoil and external catastrophe start to blur, and the struggle to navigate grief, isolation, and impending destruction becomes a descent into the self, revealing the fragility and volatility of human consciousness. Hello friends, and welcome back to ETF. Chris Salvi's Razor Street is a film that feels less like a linear narrative, and more like an autopsy of a mind collapsing under the weight of its own contradictions. Shot in a constrictive 4:3 aspect ratio, and rendered in stark, suffocating black and white. One that seeks not to depict reality as it is, but as it feels from within the decaying psyche of its protagonist. What follows is an experimental plunge into death, love, disillusion, and existential panic, channeled through a style reminiscent of Lynch's Inland Empire, fragmented, disorienting, and feverish. The film follows Breslin, a husband whose life and mental illness has gotten the better of him, as he struggles to deal with oncoming nuclear war and the recent divorce from his wife. At its core, Razor Street is about collision, specifically the violent collision between two apocalyptic forces. Breslin's collapsing marriage and his escalating terror of nuclear war. Salvi doesn't present these as parallel crises, but fuses them into a single psychological event, the breakdown of Breslin's ability to differentiate inner catastrophe from outer annihilation. The divorce from his wife is not simply another life stressor. It is the emotional ground zero from which his mind spirals into visions of global destruction. For Breslin, the personal becomes cosmic. The disillusion of love becomes a disillusion of everything. The film's fragmented narrative form mirrors the internal rupture. Scenes bleed into one another, images repeat, and chronology becomes porous. This discontinuity, rather than obscuring meaning, serves to place the viewer inside Breslin's destabilizing consciousness. The editing mimics the behavior of a traumatized mind, looping, stuttering, clinging to certain images, rejecting others. Salvi's stylistic choices are far more than aesthetic flourishes. They seem more like psychological cartography. Razor Street is mapping the terrain of a man who cannot escape the accelerating collapse of his emotional and existential worlds. The fear of nuclear war functions as both metaphor and literal obsession. Breslin's fixation on the impending nuclear age reveals a deeper terror of obliteration, not merely of society, but of the self. The bomb becomes an external projection of Breslin's internal implosion. It is panic rendered as apocalypse. In this way, the film stands alongside the lineage of films that treat global catastrophe as a mirror for psychological breakdown. Yet it pushes further inward, refusing any sense of geopolitical scope. Nuclear dread becomes a personal dread. The blast is always already inside of him. Salvi amplifies this dread through the film's oppressive aesthetic. The black and white palette, devoid of gray comfort, visually enacts the binary thinking of someone trapped in catastrophic cognition. The 4:3 frame further restricts Breslin's world, enclosing him within a box that he cannot break free from. This claustrophobia is central to the film's emotional effect. Every moment feels tight, airless, as if the frame itself is choking. The imagery of slicing or strangling, evoked metaphorically in the title and thematically in the notes of Suffocation, is not merely symbolic, it's experiential. The film's form becomes the pressure of the protagonist's throat. But for all its darkness, Razor Street is equally a film about love. Specifically, the way love's rupture can leave behind phantoms that refuse to be dispelled. Salvi honors the chaos of mental illness and emotional despair by letting the film exist in a state of volatility. The result is a work that demands engagement rather than passive consumption. It is confrontational in its psychological rawness. It is unafraid to let discomfort linger. This is something I love about Salvi's films. They dare to tread uncharted waters. Ultimately, Razor Street stands as a meditation on how personal trauma can consume one's perception of reality, until the boundaries between inner and outer apocalypse dissolve. In Breslin's Unraveling, Salvi presents a portrait of a man caught between love and annihilation, past and future, memory and fear. The film's experimental nature is not merely a stylistic gamble. It is an existential expression of Breslin's fractured consciousness. Through suffocating imagery, nonlinear structure, and Lynchian psychological fragmentation, Razor Street conveys the sensation of being slowly, inevitably cut apart from the inside. It is not a film one understands so much as endures, and that endurance is precisely the point. Well, friends, that's going to be all for now. If you're interested in this film, I urge you to check it out for yourself and formulate your own thoughts and opinions about it. I hope you come share those thoughts in the comments. Let me know if there are any movies that you would like to see discussed on this channel. I always love to hear from you guys, and I do my best to try and respond to everyone. As always, I have put a link down in the description to a physical copy of the film, if one exists, so that you can add it to your collection. Using that link helps out the channel, and that is always appreciated. Furthermore, if you like the video, I urge you to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you aren't already. I know many of you watching aren't yet subscribed, so help support the channel. Subscribe. If you'd like to go the extra mile and support the channel even more, we do have a Patreon. And if you sign up for our Rated R tier level, you can get yourself access to the ETF Digital Archive. We get a lot of compliments about the VHS collection that you guys see in the background of almost all of our videos. Well, we have been hard at work slowly digitizing that collection and creating a place where we can share it with all of you. Thanks to the help of the Plex platform, one of this channel's sponsors, we can now do just that. This is our way of doing our part to help preserve that gritty, nostalgic VHS look and feeling before it's gone forever. So as a special thank you for becoming a Rated R tier member, you will be added to our ETF Archive Plex server, so that you can stream our VHS collection from anywhere at any time. It's basically like having a streaming service for VHS, which I think is pretty cool. We also have a Mercari store, where you can go and get yourself a little piece of the ETF archive. While collecting VHS, Blu-rays, and DVDs over many years, we wind up with lots of duplicates, and we unfortunately can't store them all. So on our Mercari shop, we have those for sale. Purchasing those not only expands your collection, but makes room for us to expand ours. All the links for everything are down in the description. Until next time, stay safe, and as always, thanks for watching.